my name is Samantha, and I'm going to talk a little bit about me before I talk about my cats. So, I'm a 22-year-old retail worker. I graduated from a community college with a degree in music, and I will be returning this fall for my bachelor's degrees in music therapy. Over the summer, I met Muffin. She was a stray on my block, and I've always loved cats. I've never had a cat actually, because my father wouldn't allow it. But when I met her, I realized she was pregnant, so I knew I had to help her in any way possible. So every day, I would go outside looking for her, day, night, whenever I could, to give her some food. Because I knew she had to eat. If she was going to give birth to healthy kittens, she needed to eat. And I even contacted an organization group in my hometown that actually helps cats, and they were actually going to help me find her a home, or at least a temporary home, before so she could give birth somewhere safe. Unfortunately for me, Muffin had different plans. She actually disappeared on me the next day after I met with them. I went out the usual time I go out to feed her, and I didn't find her anywhere. I spent almost an hour outside waiting for her to come back, hoping she'd come back for food. Because when I spoke to the woman from the organization, she said that Muffin wasn't probably going to give birth for another week or so. I guess she was wrong because I didn't find Muffin a week later, and she had no longer had her belly, which meant she had given birth to her kittens, which crushed me because I wanted to so badly prevent her from giving birth in the streets, but I knew it was also a possibility. So then, almost maybe a month, maybe 3 weeks later, I didn't meet her kittens till then. They were all absolutely adorable. She had 3 kittens, 2 boys and a girl, which I didn't know at the time because they were all very much afraid of me and did not want to get near me. Then later on, they found their way into my backyard of my apartment. So I grabbed a basket, put a bit of string on it, put a bowl of food in it, and just throw it down from my kitchen window. And I would do that about twice a day, making sure they all had enough food. And thankfully, my family helped me out a bit. It wasn't until a hurricane came that I realized they weren't going to be safe for very long. So what me and my brother did, we grabbed a cardboard box and we filled it with some old blankets we found, covered it up as best as we could so it would be protected from the rain, and he went out the window and I helped him as well. He went out the window and I also went out the window to help him put the box somewhere safe so the cats would have a nice safe home from the rain. And thankfully nothing happened, which was a good thing. Winter was coming and we were very much worried about what would happen to them. Then one day when I was getting out of work, my sister texted me telling me that Pumpkin, one of the kittens, had something wrong with his eye. That yesterday it had a small scratch in it, but today when she texted me, it was swollen and it looked badly infected. So when I went out there, I looked at him and I know that his eye was terribly infected. So I decided to jump out the window and I grabbed him. It was very hard at first, but I managed to lure him into a carrier, a cat carrier with some food. I accidentally took him and his brother by mistake, but I had no time for me to try to get his brother out, so I just took them both to the vet, where the vet explained that he had a small infection that was nothing to really worry about, but to give him medicine, an antibiotic, and an eye cream to make sure the infection goes away completely. So we kept Pumpkin and we let his brother go so he could go back to his family. And we let Pumpkin stay with us for at least 2 nights, so that way we made sure he wouldn't roll around in the dirt or do something to it so he would get more infected. And it was really hard, especially on him because he wanted to be with his mother and he couldn't, and it made me sad to hear him cry, even though I knew he had to be with us, otherwise he'd get infected. his eye would get more worse. 2 days passed and he was perfectly fine, so on the second day we let him go. And everything was fine after that. But one day I decided to go out to see how their little house was, and when I looked inside, there was a possum inside. And I did everything I could to get it out. It ran out, but then I kind of realized that they weren't exactly safe outside because I had seen raccoons and possums outside in my backyard, and I was worried that something might happen to them, especially to kittens. Like Muffin can't defend herself, but if she goes out one day to go for food or for whatever reason, something might happen to the kittens or her. So, against my father's wishes, I took all of them in. It was very hard to capture all of them. Actually, my father actually ended up helping me capture them, but we all took them in. And even though he hates cats, absolutely hates the smell of their litter box, and has threatened to kick me and my cats out multiple times, I've always stood my ground and to make sure that those cats have a home. And they've been with me since the end of October, I believe. Yes, they've been with me since the end of October. And that basically brings to why I want this litter box. It would be so much easier on me with my situation with my father if I had a self-cleaning litter box, one that wouldn't smell as much. Because if the litter box smelled less, he wouldn't constantly be threatening to kick me and the cats out. And that way the cats would have a nice safe home. Also, as I mentioned before, I will be going back in the fall for my bachelor's degree. And right now I usually have enough time to clean the litter box both in the morning and in the night. I mean, my brother and sister always help me whenever I can. But having a self-clean one would make it so much easier on me when I do go back to school, and it would make my living situation with my father a lot easier because even though I will stand my ground, I will never let him kick me or the cats, specifically my cats, out, but I'm still afraid. And having that self-clean litter box would make everything a lot easier. But I know a lot of people are also would love that litter box. So please give it to whoever you believe thinks it needs it the most. Thank you for watching.